Timer is on and we're up and running. Hello again. So it is, I don't know. Let's see, September 6th. September 6th, 2020. And oh my God, the world is falling apart. And everybody can feel it, everybody can sense it. People are taking sides. There's riots in the streets, cats and dogs are living together. It's pandemonium out there. Now, I'm not trying to make light of everything that's happening out right now because a lot of people are scared and a lot of people don't know what to do and a lot of people are trying to figure out how best to navigate these troubled waters. But on the other side, I kind of find it really fascinating also that a lot of people seem to be oblivious or wantonly uninterested in what's truly happening and what's causing the problems and what most people can best do to mitigate, what the what the people are saying. Like there's so many channels on YouTube saying that there's going to be blood in the streets and that, things are coming to a head. And meanwhile, to be blatantly honest, from everything that I've looked at, and I'm no soothsayer and I'm no expert in any of this, but if you stand back and look at it kind of logically, yes, the stock market is up and down dramatically, much more violent ups and downs, higher highs and lower lows than what's normal. But at the same time, Japan has shown that we can do this indefinitely. So what I feel is areas like cryptocurrencies, which are taking a massive beating right now, and they seem to be in denial. Gold is taking a hit, but if you look at, the percentage-wise, gold is taking a minor percent hit. Cryptos are taking a massive hit, and they just can't seem to stop bleeding out. As far as anyone can tell, everybody thinks the American dollar is losing strength and losing power, but if you look at the dynamics of how exactly money is created and how exactly this happened back in 2008, all signs are pointing to the fact that yields are going to get weaker and the dollar is going to get stronger, which means that every other dollar on the planet, the Canadian dollar, the Australian dollar, the Japanese dollar, they're all going to get weaker in comparison. So against that basket of currencies, they're going to get stronger. So a lot of people are saying, not a lot, but a fair amount of people are saying, cash is trash, but there's only so many places you can invest to get any kind of a nominal yield. Anyways, that was my rant. The truth of this video today, and the fact that I haven't put out a video in about a week, is that I finally got my website up and running. Please don't look at the top left corner of the website, because after all of it, after all I've been through, after all the crap that I've just been through, pardon my swearing, I literally rebuilt a website one more time because apparently I enjoy this. I went back to a format that, for all its faults and failures, it works. When I went back and I was getting frustrated at how challenging it was becoming from the website host that I was using for the last month, that unless you have some sort of basic knowledge on coding, there's very little you can do that would be productive and creative. And since this whole concept of my website is creative, that seems a little important. So I went back to an existing website that allows me some kind of freedom to just drag and drop. So the stuff that I've created is available. 10 or so stories with some scratch in there, and 2, although there's supposed to be 4, I don't know what happened to the other 2, children's flip books. Now, as you can tell, I don't have the smoothest voice. I mean, I got the perfect face for radio, but I'm saying my voice itself isn't necessarily smooth. But I've dedicated that to myself, that I'm going to do the lion's share of the work on this, because if I'm going to semi-retire from what I do in the big bad world out there for a living, to do this which is what I enjoy, and I would have to consider it a job. And if you look at artists who are creative, much more creative than I am, they treat their creativity as a job. So you have to take it seriously. You have to devote a lot of time and effort into it, which I have been doing. Hence, today on the 6th, I am finally able to say my website, redeyedradical.com, is up and running. Now, it's a basic format. I've got stories you can purchase, and I'm going to download a whole bunch of literature that I've done that's free, just little short stories, little things here and there, observations, but you have to sort of understand, and I tried to do this in the main pages of the website. It's like asking a philosopher, say in Greece, what do you think about time? Well, you're asking the right guy, but you're asking the right guy the wrong question. He can go off for a week with a couple of bathroom breaks and just blather and blather and blather ad nauseum. And I'm in the same boat. So, although I do intend, and I really, really hope that I get a lot of feedback and a lot of people that just want to engage, because it feeds the wolves in my head, and it helps to generate more introspection into myself so I can create more. I am a content creator by nature. I've been doing this for many, many years, but I've never been able to compile everything I had. And up until about 6 months ago to a year ago, I had 90% of everything I did was 99% done. So done but not polished. And you'll see on the website that the stories that I've included, although I've gone through an original editing, I haven't gone through a clean editing. So basically there's still actually there's typos, and there's sentence structure damage, and the way I write is not functionally correct, but I write the way I think, which is the way I want people to hear it. So if I'm going to have this big argument with people who are literary agnostic, let's not go there. If they're basically going to say, your writing sucks because your writing structure and your sentence structure sucks, that's perfectly fine. And, I appreciate the creative criticism, unless it's just criticism, unless you're just trying to let me know that, you don't write like normal people write. I think I get that. And I think I don't care. I think that when people read what I write and they read it, and if they have to stop for a moment and think, that's actually a good thing. So the point of, like I've been saying in these last few videos, the point of this whole thing is to create content and to entertain. That's what creative individuals, successful ones who are way better at this than I am, do for a living, is they create because they can't help themselves, and I can't help myself. It's what I do. I do it a lot. I do it almost constantly. I do it while I'm at my day job, and I do it at home. I do it while I'm driving. I don't write while I'm driving. I'm not saying that. I drink and drive. No, I don't drink and drive. I'm kidding. Anyways, I don't even drink. So the point is, it's ready to go. So, yeehaw, yay for me. Selfie high five. That's a selfie high five. My daughter taught me that. Anyways, so congratulations to me. Yay. I'm going to have a one-person celebration and probably have some water. Anyways, there is content now on there to purchase. There's content to just peruse. Hey, I used the word peruse. Very cool. But also, there's more to come. There's lots more to come. I've got a lot of content that, barring some really bad spelling, sentence structure is a hazard, and I'm a freaking minefield. Like I am a hit and run. I heard that song the other day. I thought to myself, man, that's an awesome song, and I'm actually trying not to use somebody else's content. I'm just saying, it's like a tire fire. Don't try to put it out. Just, grab some marshmallows. So anyways, it's ready to go, and I'm really glad to have that content in there. I expect lots more in the near future. My daughter behind me is now battling with a cat. Anyways, so that's the one part of it. The second part of this is that I have every intention and every anticipation that people will want to volunteer their greatly appreciated feedback. And this is one of those things I find really fascinating. So I did have a little bit of feedback, which I found was quite fascinating. And I'm going to explain this story really quickly because I think it needs to be told. And someone read one of the shortest stories I've written, which, like I say, they're all very short, 3,000 words or less. The reason is, as a audiobook, because they're all going to be turned to audiobooks. Hi, Rain. That they need to be able to be listened to in short burst duration, right? So on the drive to work, on a jog, when you're doing something else, making dinner, doing dishes, just something to listen to. And the other literature and stuff in there is basically short little one-page stories, and there's a lot of lyrical content and stuff like that. But this one short story that I wrote took me a day and a half, maybe 2 days to write it. I did a quick edit through, they read it, and the criticism was, there's a difference between criticism and constructive criticism. This was not the latter. This was strange, but understandable. I get it. Didn't get the gist of the story. That's perfectly fine. I have read things in the past that I just I couldn't grasp. I couldn't attenuate that, and anything that would pertain to me or anything that I could connect with. So, did I write to the author and tell them that they suck? No. But I did ask for the feedback. I got the feedback, and I was quite fascinated with the amount of hostility. It wasn't really feedback. It was mostly hostility. So in the end, after listening politely, which I can do because, hey, it doesn't change me. It doesn't change the story. It doesn't actually change anything. I wish it would change my tire. I just had to say, because it was instinctual and it's just who I am. I explained to the person, I said, look, I get it. I do. I completely get it. When we were in preschool, when I was in preschool and I used to have a crush on a girl, I would pull her hair and I would call her names and I would kick her and stuff like that. I never did anything stuff like that, but they certainly pulled my hair and kicked me. And so I get it. I get it. You got a crush on me, dude. I understand. And I just want you to know, I'm quite happy being single. And you can imagine that this did not smooth over the situation. It got frustratingly, curiously kind of worse, which I would imagine is sort of what I was aiming for. But like I've always been told, own the ground you're standing on because it's yours. While you're here, that ground you're on is yours. So after a second route of venting, I think that was everything. The fire was finally brought down to a smoldering cauldron of just burning embers, and we're good. Life is good. But the point of that story is constructive criticism helps people grow. Because you can complain, but you're not part of the solution, you're just part of the problem. If you say the story lacks structure, I couldn't understand or get into the story, there was no compassion for the character, there was no build-up, there was no, but it wasn't like that. It was just basically the theory is the story sucked because he couldn't get the premise. Kind of sounds like a you problem to me. And once again, I'm not trying to be mean here. Not everybody's going to enjoy this stuff. I get it. I go through websites all the time and I see YouTubers that just not my style. I don't listen to, there's only so much Rush Limbaugh you can take. Every once in a while you listen because he's a capitalist and he says what he says because of his passion for the belief that him and Peter Schiff and all these other capitalists believe that capitalism is the solution to what ails the financial environment. And to a large degree, 80%, 85, leaning heavy percent, that's true. Capitalism was organically created to solve a lot of barterable issues. But it does have a tendency to fail on the top end. And not only due to greed, because even the people on the bottom are greedy for compassionate reasons or whatever. There are solutions that can I say uber rich? Because I'm not a millennial, so I'm not dug into a lot of these words, but let's just go there anyways. The super rich, there's a lot of compassion that they seem to lack. So when they say that capitalism creates better products at cheaper prices and makes living cheaper and easier and better over the long run, sure. But then there are a large portion of the population that, for whatever reasons, are more helpless than their counterparts or cohorts. Having said that, there needs to be some incentive to allocate a portion of those gains to offset the suffering, right? Because nobody wants that. Nobody wants the suffering. There's enough suffering by people who for no fault of their own, are suffering. And I think that end of the spectrum, that part of the argument, doesn't get brought up enough. Sure, capitalism's good. It's better than the alternatives, because in Canada we have a fair bit of socialism, which is a little scary. It's good for a lot of people, but socialism leads to a diminished dollar, the loss of purchasing power, and high taxes, although they're not terribly high yet, but you can see them, just on the edge, just on whatever. Anyways, so I'm trying not to go through these videos and just being this financial babbling, because my channel, my website, I have 3 websites, but the main website I'm talking about right now that is published is not a political channel, nor is it a monetary channel. It is simply a creativity channel. It is a startup. It has some content in it that is constantly going to grow, because I have books and books full of material that just needs to be polished and put in, polished and finished, polished and like I say, the last week and a half or so, I finished off a multitude of projects because I forced myself to quadruple my output. I was doing 1 a week, and I decided to put out 4 a week. And this is going to be going forward for a while until I get the lion's share of everything that I have out. And the website, as long as it keeps working with me instead of against me, as long as it keeps accepting the information that I'm putting into it without crashing or ending up as just a dog's breakfast, then we should be good. Anyways, so I hope to get feedback, because it's the feedback that kind of feeds these things, and it's the feedback that turns out to be some of the sparks that are destined to be turned into some form of creativity that I have. The videos, the short videos I'm going to create already have precursors. So what I would find most challenging is the subject matter is there, the general thesis or storylines are there, and since a lot of it is going to be done by myself, it's a challenge to tell a story without the human component. So if I can, I'm going to tell the stories as much as I can without a human component. And when I need the human component, I may be in a position to beg my audience for a little bit of assistance. So we'll see. We'll kind of see how that goes. Now, anything that I'm making revenue from obviously would be offered in lieu of the gig, because it would be gig work. And until those stories are cleaned up a little bit, because I have a lot of video, a little bit of audio created, that like I even write my own songs and all this sort of stuff. These things are part and parcel of what's going to be included in the stories, and they are basically just a conglomerate of one basic idea with a multitude of ends that sort of tie it all together. So I wanted to do it without actors or the human component, but it's hard to tell a human story without a human component. Not impossible, it's just hard, because I don't want to use claymation. Ha ha ha. Legos maybe, it's been done. Never really worked out that well. And apparently there was even a show with the marionettes. Creepy, man. That was creepy. anyways, um, I could do that because I was going to build a, those marionettes you made in school. I don't know if you guys did this, but I did this. I was in art class. I played soccer for 6 years. I was in art class for 4 years and all this other stuff. I did some of the home ec. I was that guy that was sort of like in a lot of different classes, and I had friends in a lot of different areas of school, so that no matter where I went, I knew somebody. Played sports. I was into the AI club, audio video, and into the computer club. I learned DOS. So yay, way back in grade 6. A few years ago. Anyways, the point of the story was that if I can do it, I will do it with the tools at hand. But if needed, then I certainly can't be on one end of the camera, play the other end of the camera, and effectively, I'm just not that good. Spielberg, I am not. I'm barely fumbling through this whole website thing, and it's not bad. I mean, it's not a fantastic website, but it's functional. It's not very pretty, but lipstick on a pig, right? So anyways, we're gonna just sort of, I'm gonna call it a win because I can. It's my website. Anyways, I hope you enjoy it. Now the last part of this I wanted to sort of go through, and I wanted to make this notation before I sign out of this video, is yes, it looks like the streets are on fire, and yes, it looks like all heck is breaking loose, and Armageddon is on its way. Oh, by the way, I have another story about the Four Horsemen, and that's sort of turning out to be a really, really long story. But there's nothing that you can see in the coming forecast that would mean there's nothing in the coming forecast that you could see that would mean the end of civilization. There are major effects on civilization, how they want to control the movement of money and control the movement of cryptocurrency and all of these facets of our lives, but they can only have control if we give them control. There's countries out there where, with the army and marshals and the state or the patrols, have forcibly taken, and even without shots fired, have taken the citizenry. In certain countries that are well developed, it's a little bit harder because the citizenry is armed. Not that that's why, but it is, to be honest, the reasons we have the right to bear arms is to protect ourselves against our government. It's in the Constitution in the States. It's not necessarily protect ourselves from enemies as much as to protect ourselves from an overbearing government. So guess what? It's possible. And given the right circumstances, it's probable with UBI and all this, but it doesn't mean civilization is at an end. It just means there's going to be some tough times ahead, and tough times call for tough people. And community, kumbaya, community seems to be the driving force that has always prevailed in the end. So, Mr. Positivity here, yeehaw. I think if things do sort of go south, turn around and face south, and stand tall, because that's at our worst, that's our best. I just wanted to say that part. And thanks for listening. We will see you at the website, redeyedradical.com. Thanks for visiting, and we will see you again really, really soon.